In May of 2023, the best-selling generator company in America quietly agreed to pay the federal government almost $16 million. Not for a marketing slip, not for a paperwork error. They paid that penalty because safety regulators say the company knew about a defect that was crushing and amputating their own customers' fingers and failed to report it in time. And here is the part that should genuinely frighten you. That recall is not even the deadliest thing about the machine that might be sitting in your garage right now. Every single year, somewhere between 80 and 100 Americans are killed by their own portable generators, the exact device they bought to keep their family safe during a storm. Today we are going to expose the recalls this industry tried to bury, reveal the invisible killer hiding inside the exhaust, and show you the only 3 generators you should actually trust with your life. When you walk into a hardware store before a big storm, you think you are looking at real choice. You see Generac, Honda, Westinghouse, Champion, Briggs & Stratton, and a wall of cheaper names you have never heard of. You assume they are all competing to build you a safer, more reliable machine. That is an illusion. What you are actually looking at is a category built around one ugly truth. A generator is a panic purchase. People do not research generators for months. They buy one in a hurry when the forecast turns bad, when the price tag and the wattage number are the only things they have time to read. The entire business model is built on that panic. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry that does its best business when the weather is at its worst, when a hurricane or an ice storm sends thousands of frightened people rushing to the nearest store at the same moment. And because of it, corners get cut in places you will never see until the moment you need the machine most. The biggest names have racked up recall after recall for fires, fuel leaks, and amputations. The cheapest names lie about how much power they actually produce, and almost none of them, until very recently, included the one feature that stops these machines from killing people in their sleep. So before you spend a single dollar, you need to understand exactly how this happened, and it starts with the brand that sells more generators than anyone else in the country. Generac is the name most Americans reach for first. It is the market leader, and it is also the center of the single most disturbing story in this entire industry. In July of 2021, federal regulators announced a recall of Generac portable generators because of a flip-up handle that could pinch a user's fingers against the steel frame when they moved the unit. At first, the company reported just 8 injuries, 7 finger amputations and 1 crushing. That alone should have stopped people cold, but the reports kept coming. By November of 2022, regulators re-announced the very same recall, and the numbers had exploded. More than 321,000 units in the United States. 37 injuries now. Of those, 24 were finger amputations. 5 more were finger crushings. Real people lost real fingers to a defect in a consumer product sold at every major hardware store in America. And these were not cheap impulse buys. They sold for as much as $1,500 at Costco, at Lowe's, at Home Depot, over an 8-year stretch from 2013 all the way to 2021. But the recall itself is not the scandal. The scandal is what came next. When regulators dug into the timeline, they concluded the company had been receiving injury reports as early as October of 2018 across 32 different models and had failed to report the danger immediately, the way federal law requires. For something like 2 years, the warnings stacked up while the machines stayed on the shelves. By the time the matter was finally resolved, the company agreed to pay a civil penalty of almost $16 million. That figure is just short of the absolute maximum the government is even allowed to charge. One regulator put it bluntly, saying that placing unsuspecting consumers at ongoing risk while a company dithers and delays has consequences. They knew. And if you think a recall this severe was a one-time accident, you are about to see a pattern that should make you question every spec sheet you have ever read, because the amputation recall was only the beginning. In September of 2023, the same company recalled roughly 64,000 of its largest portable generators. The reason this time was that the fuel tank could build up dangerous pressure and spray gasoline out when the cap was opened. 29 reports came in. 3 of them ended in severe burn injuries. Then it happened again. In April of 2026, the company recalled about 149,000 more generators because fuel could leak straight from the carburetor the very first time you filled the tank, creating a fire and burn hazard. That was recall number 26-407, and it covered units manufactured overseas and sold at Home Depot, Lowe's, and other major retailers for as little as $600. 3 separate recalls. 3 different ways for the same brand's machines to maim, burn, or catch fire. And lest you think this is just one company, the recall list reads like a roll call of the entire industry. Honda recalled around 200,000 of its popular inverter generators in 2019 because a fuel valve could loosen and leak gasoline. Westinghouse recalled units for overheating and fuel leaks. Champion recalled generators that leaked fuel and caught fire, several of which actually burned. Powerhorse recalled units over a wiring error that created a shock hazard. The most trusted names in the business and the bargain brands alike. But crushed fingers, fires, and fuel leaks are the injuries you can see. The deadliest defect in this entire category is one you cannot see, cannot smell, and will never hear coming. Carbon monoxide. A single running portable generator can produce as much carbon monoxide as hundreds of cars. The gas is colorless and odorless, and at a high enough concentration, it can knock a person unconscious in minutes, long before they understand anything is wrong. Regulators estimate that this gas kills somewhere between 80 and 100 Americans every single year through portable generators alone. Over 2 decades, that adds up to an estimated 1,300 deaths, and officials believe even that is an undercount. Generators account for roughly 40% of every carbon monoxide death linked to consumer products in this country. And the deaths are not random. More than 80% of them happen at home, usually during a weather-related power outage, the exact situation you bought the machine for. The burden does not fall evenly either. Regulators found that Black Americans accounted for nearly a quarter of these deaths, almost double their share of the population. These are families running a generator in a garage or just outside a window during a blackout, with no idea the air is already turning lethal. And here is the most infuriating part. The technology to stop almost all of these deaths already exists. There is a sensor that automatically shuts the engine off when carbon monoxide builds up to a dangerous level. Safety analysts found that this single feature could prevent nearly 90%, and in some designs, close to 100% of these poisoning deaths. So why is it not in every generator? Because it is still voluntary. There is no mandatory federal rule forcing manufacturers to include it. Regulators proposed one, and the industry's own trade group pushed back, arguing that most generators already comply with a voluntary standard, so a federal mandate is not needed. Years later, that mandate still has not crossed the finish line. The cheapest open frame units, the ones stacked highest and priced lowest, are exactly the ones least likely to have the sensor at all. And while they are skimping on the feature that saves your life, many of them are also lying to you about the most basic number on the box. That number is wattage. The cheap units splash a big, bold figure across the front of the package. What they are quietly showing you is the surge wattage, the absolute peak the machine can hold for a split second. Not the running wattage it can actually sustain hour after hour. Independent testing has caught budget generators shutting themselves down the moment they are asked to deliver the power they advertised. Consumer Reports tested the Briggs and Stratton Q6500, rated it poor for power delivery, noted it could only handle modest constant loads and failed under a real surge, and flagged it for having no carbon monoxide shut off at all. Their verdict on a major brand machine was blunt. This is one to avoid, and the problem runs deeper than a fake number. Cheap open-frame generators produce dirty, unstable power with voltage and frequency that swing under load. Plug your refrigerator, your furnace control board, or your laptop into that, and you are slowly cooking the electronics you bought the generator to protect. So if the whole category is this rigged, do you just give up on backup power? Absolutely not. You stop shopping like a panicked consumer and you start buying like an auditor. Here is exactly what that looks like. First, for most homes, the smartest small machine you can buy is the Honda EU 2200i. It weighs about 47 pounds. It runs as quiet as a normal conversation, and it produces clean, stable power under 3% distortion that will not fry your electronics. It comes with a built-in carbon monoxide shutoff sensor, and it is backed by a 3-year warranty from a company with a service network that actually exists. Run 2 of them together and you can power most of a home's essentials. Yes, it costs more upfront, but a well-built Honda holds its value for years, while a no-name unit is worthless the moment it fails to start. Second, if you need serious power for the whole house and you want to save money without gambling on a stranger, look at the Predator 9500 with CO Secure. Consumer Reports rated it very good overall, found it delivered more than enough wattage and handled surges easily with especially clean power, and it includes the automatic shutoff sensor. It puts out 7,600 running watts and can run up to 18 hours on a single tank. Just know the base warranty is short, only 90 days, so register it and consider the extension. Third, for long outages, choose a dual fuel generator that runs on both gasoline and propane, but only one that explicitly lists a carbon monoxide shutoff and clean power output on the spec sheet. If it does not name that sensor, walk away. And the best kept secret of all, a clean, well-maintained used Honda or Yamaha for a few $100s will outlast and outperform almost any cheap new machine on the shelf because the engineering underneath was real to begin with. And no matter which one you choose, run it at least 20 feet from the house with the exhaust pointed away and put battery-powered carbon monoxide alarms on every floor. That is the entire game, not the biggest number on the box. The machine that will actually start, actually hold its power, and actually refuse to kill you. Because the truth is that the era of trusting the brand name on the front of the box is over. The biggest company in the business paid a near-record penalty for sitting on a defect that cost people their fingers, and the cheapest companies are selling you a number that does not exist on a machine without the one sensor that could save your family. They are counting on you to be scared, to be in a hurry, and to grab the cheapest thing with the biggest wattage printed on it. Do not give them that satisfaction. Check the recall list before you trust anything in your garage. Demand the carbon monoxide shutoff. Read the running wattage, not the surge. And never ever run one of these machines anywhere near an enclosed space. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because the next product we expose might be one you already own.